Step one. Disconnect the battery. This is for a wheel bearing replacement. The wheel bearing's inside here. So I disconnected the battery, the negative was done first, and then I take the screwdriver and I gotta unstake this drive axle nut. This is the one I use. I can use whatever you want, but this actually has an impact. Can handle an impact from a hammer better. And see how big this tip is? You want to be able to get it right in there. You don't want to break the tips. You want to just tap it and try to get this thing up enough so I can turn this. All right. The drive axle nut is what does it say? 36 millimeter. Loosen it up. I use this impact here, and I use this to get in here, right? Whatever would fit, that was the largest. And I'd pound it and kind of rock it back and forth. Try not to break the tip. That's why you don't want to use the small one, because it's more likely to break. Once you have enough room for a larger screwdriver, I stuck this in here. And then I pounded it with a hammer at the end, at the tip over here at the handle, and then rocked it back and forth a bit. And it got enough. Just loosen this up. I use with an impact, and then loosen up this and the lug nuts, and then make sure they're finger tight, and this can finger tight more or less. Then you go on to the next step. Okay, I removed the 4 hub. I'm not sure what this is. I know they go through the hub. They may connect to the bearing behind. There's a bearing somewhere behind this, but these 4 things I took out. They're 14 millimeter. One of them, the head was so bad. That I couldn't get it out with a impact wrench or a breaker bar. So I took one of these things. What this is a bolt extractor set. See that? Those teeth? I used a 14 millimeter. Tapped it with a hammer, and then it came out fairly easy actually with an impact wrench after that. But it looks like it stuck to this thing. I like the threads, but anyway, that's out. I might be able to pull the hub out now, even though the brake caliper is still connected and the tie rods are connected and all this other stuff are connected. I got to remove that, fully remove that drive axle nut first, though. All right. All right. This tool. It's called a front wheel drive hub puller. I got this from, it's a tool loaner from O'Reilly. Put it on, use the lug nuts right there. 2 of them, I got one on top, one on the bottom down here. This is I think, I don't know what size this is. Let's see. It's a 19. That thing's a 19 right there. And just turn it. I'm not sure what that nut does in there that came with the kit, so I just put it on like the picture said. And sprayed it with some, this is my little buddy. Alright, liquid wrench penetrating spray. I'm trying to separate the hub from the wheel bearing, so I sprayed lubricant, that spray right in here. I figured it'd flow down. I know I got to spray a lot right where the hub and the wheel bearing are. And I take this little tire iron right here, and this is the disc, okay? So I took it right between here and pry a little bit. Don't pry up here, but pry like right in here and here. Go like this. Pry right here. I think this thing will turn a bit. So if it does, this thing turns. You know, pry some over here. You'll have a better access to pry here if you can't get in there with the caliper on. And pry down here, you know, and pry if you can get under here. So it kind of loosens up a bit. I can also take a little bit of a hammer, and which I did, and I tap this hub on the edge around a bit to help break it up. Don't hit this, accidentally hit this. And if you look in here, if I can show you, I don't know if the hub's coming off or out of the wheel bearing, and the wheel bearing's coming off. Part of it's coming off with the hub. This hasn't been off in at least 20 years. So I'm going to throw some more of that spray on there and see if I can get that sucker to come off all the way. Don't want to use a torch because I think there's grease inside the wheel bearing. Alright. I don't like fires too much, so. Alright, to add to more fun, you can probably see in here that you can see the ball bearings. They came off, okay, it did. But the only problem with this is that, well, guess what? That piece that covers the ball bearings is still on the hub. So I am the lucky one to acquire more work to remove that off the hub. The hub's condition looks fine. Doesn't look damaged. I want to check this to make sure it doesn't look chipped and crap and dug into, but it looks fine. So the wheel bearing is our friend right there. So and drive axle's still good, didn't damage it, and this thing's still connected to the hub. So I'm going to remove this tool from the hub and then see what I can do about this thing. I think it's called a race. I might have to cut it and then cut it partially and then pound it off or something. There's a YouTube video somewhere on that. Someone's done this crap, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel because it's already been done. The method has already been figured out how to remove it. Alright, as you can see, I cut a little hole, a little cut in the race. I think this thing is called a race right here. This little thing. This is the hub, the thing that sticks out. And this thing, this is part of the hub, this little thing that sticks out. Now this little line is what I cut. I used a little Dremel. You can use whatever you can get. you have or whatever, but let's see, Dremel. There it is. Little cutting blade, cut it right in here. Try not to cut this, but if you do, it probably is not going to be a big deal. And then take this tire iron, stick it right here, or a hammer. Excuse me, a screwdriver, like this. I use this, and then take a little hammer. You can put this in a vise, if you have a vise or something, or just stick a sock underneath it so it doesn't move on the concrete below. Lodge your foot here, put a foot there, put a foot over here, and just whack it. It broke loose, and I should be able to get this off now. It moves. This race moves back and forth now. It wasn't stuck. I also used heat, some propane flame all around where the race meets this hub, right around this edge right here. Right in there. All the way around. Did that for a couple minutes. Alright. As you can see, I just stuck this little thing right in the edge where they both meet, and I tapped it in there, and I got enough room, and I've been hitting it with a hammer and propping it off just like this, kind of like, but I'm not using a hammer because I got two hands now, so I'm going to just go like this. More and more comes off, and let's see how much more. Shit. Yeah, it's almost off. Take this again, lodge my foot, watch this shit. Here we go. Off. The sucker was stuck. Now I got to clean all that crap up. See, nothing's damaged. Just a little bit of a cut right there, which is not going to affect anything. So, all right. So this hub's still good. The bearing, I believe, it's been on there for 140,000 miles, so I think it's a little bit over. Usually they last between 70 and 100,000 miles. Okay. Removed the caliper, tied it up there with a shoelace, and then a rope too, a piece of twine as backup. You should use a metal wire, thick metal wire, but I don't have that right now, or don't want to bother to try to find it. And I removed just right in here. There's a couple bolts, 10 millimeter. There's one back in here, but I didn't disconnect it. The hose is fine. Just remove these two. That's all you have to do. And this is these bolts, 17 millimeter short bolts, hold the caliper to these holes right here. The bolts are accessed from the back side of this, not the front. And I'm going to see if I can turn this knuckle using the steering wheel so I can get to the back side of this. I don't want to remove this tie rod. I just don't. I yank on it. It's still good. Tie rod's good. Can't turn it here, so inner tie rod's good because I pull it back and forth. There's no play, and I turn this back and forth, trying to rock it. The outer tie rod, it doesn't do that, so there's no play there, and it's still good. I don't want to disconnect this this outer tie rod from the knuckle, because then, maybe I can just turn the steering wheel and make it turn far enough so I can get to some bolts on the back side. Because I have this this wheel bearing hub piece. See, the wheel bearing is connected to this little thing they call a hub, but then there's another thing called a hub over here. This little thing that sticks out is, I guess people call it a spindle. Wheel bearing spindle. This little thing that sticks out. But this little, we all know what a wheel bearing is, this little circle thing, right? But it's pressed inside of this thing. And this thing right here, I think they call it a hub. So it can be confusing. Anyway, I left the tie rod connected in the lower ball joint and the upper ball joint are still connected. And I was able, since I had this thing off before, somewhat recently, I was able to use those long bolts. M10 by 1.25 pitch times 100 millimeters. You put them in the back side, okay, of this. After you remove these 4 bolts right here, you use a 10 millimeter, I think it's a 8-point or 16-point socket. This. See that? What, 16-point? Loosened up the breaker bar and used this pipe too, the short little extension pipe, shoved it over the breaker bar to make it so it would be longer. The breaker bar would be. Broke the tightness, then used the ratchet the rest of the way, right there. Anyway, stuck these long bolts in the back side. I didn't do all 4 because it's not enough space on the other side with everything connected, with the tie rod connected and stuff. So I just put them on one side and tapped them, and apparently these 2 right here are able to push this sucker far enough off, it's going to come off. So I had to do some cleaning everything, and it looks like I can probably start reassembling. As long as I press the new wheel bearing properly in, which may require me to remove the knuckle anyway. Anyway, that's it. Okay. That's all it is. See how it's pressed into this little object right here? This housing, they call this a hub too, you see. I think this part is called a hub, and this thing's called a hub, so it can be confusing. This is a hub with a wheel with the lug nuts on it, and I guess it's called a spline or a spine or something. This part of the hub, this is called a hub assembly, okay, with the lug nuts in it, all the pieces. This part is called a wheel bearing assembly. It's got the wheel bearing pressed into it. This is sold, this is how it's sold. You can probably remove this and get a bearing and put it in yourself. Just buy this. It's insane. You go through all that for some old ass bearing. Alright, so before I put the wheel bearing on the car, I have to connect it to the hub assembly. So this is the kit I used over here. I think they call it a master kit or something. What's it? The fuck the name is? What is this? Well, here. There. So they get you to read that. So mainly, you grease up the spindle of the hub, that long piece that sticks out. Grease up the inside of the wheel bearing, and I use certain pieces, and I'll explain in a bit more. Okay, heading over to the spot again, and quite a mess. Not really a mess, it's just what I need to have over here to do all this crap. Alright, I'm hanging the light back up so I can show you a good view of what I'm doing. Okay. This was over here, right here. This nut comes with the kit. This piece I put this piece on second, because I needed something that this piece could rest against, so I stuck this on. After this, there is this. It's number, they have some number on it. Step washer I. The reason why I use that instead of other ones in here, like step washer P, is because it has to fit inside of this. This piece has to fit inside this rim thing, inside of there, and this piece right here, this little bit right here, has to be big enough so it blocks. See this little piece right here, this inner part of this inner piece of the bearing right here, inner piece. You don't worry about this outer piece. You want to worry about this inner piece. This has to be against it. So when you press that long part of the hub into this bearing, this piece will be stopping. This piece will stop this little piece, this little inner piece, from being pushed out of the bearing. So you have to have something to stop it from occurring. And on this side, I chose step washer. I think it says O. And the reason why I chose O is because when I put it in here, or here, it doesn't move a whole lot. It doesn't rock too much. Other ones, like this one, move around more. This one doesn't. And it helps keep things straight. And then, of course, the long rod, or threaded rod. I used a 24mm socket with an impact. I also used this 1/2-inch breaker bar. I used a big crescent wrench, and to hold this right here, to hold this. This went on this side. You got to make sure that this part is protected right here. It has to be protected. Because when this, see inside here right now, alright, let me get this more straight. See, what's inside here right now is the spindle. Okay, they call it the spindle, whatever. That came with the hub assembly. It's inside of, this is the bearing right here. This is the bearing. Okay, I told you wrong earlier. This is the bearing. And I wanted to make sure that this part of the bearing, there's like a piece right here, a line that goes all the way around. There's also one here. This is the inner one. This is the outer one. And then, excuse me, this is one, this is another, and then there's the outer right here of the bearing. You want to make sure this inner one does not get pushed through. So what I did was I stuck this here. It fit. It would make sure that this piece right here would be able to go through it, which they probably all do. But also it held against this inner piece so it would not get pushed all the way through. I probably might have been smarter to put one in there that held the whole damn thing. But the point of it is, this piece right here has to go inside of this hole. The spindle that is going to get pushed in, the spindle that got pushed into this bearing, this thing has to fit inside of the spindle, which it does. I don't think any other one does. See, that one doesn't fit. This one won't fit. So I had to do it. It goes inside, and it also protects this from being pushed through. I don't know if this part can be pushed through right here, this middle piece, but this can. And you ruin yourself a bearing. And so anyway, I pushed it. I ran this sucker with the impact. Once I got it started with the 1/2 inch, I ran this. Did most of it with an impact, and near the end, I did it with the 1/2 inch breaker bar so I could feel when it was pretty much fully in. And you can see it's fully in. So you lay it down like this, and you can see that it spins like it's supposed to spin. No noise. No noise. It just spins. Nice and good. Hopefully this is the way it's supposed to spin, and not even more smoothly, because but anyway, this is the way it does it. I think the other one really spinned really easily, which means the bearing was bad. It was really bad, and I'm sure the other side is too, but this is the left front that I've done here of the vehicle. So I'm going to grease this sucker up, whatever, and get it going and put it back on the car. So that's the kit. I used these parts right here. They probably have a press, whatever, I don't know. Some other cheaper press probably works. This one's a tool loaner from the store, O'Reilly. So this is what I did. And then like this. Just like that. Alright. I'll get on with it. Okay, let's I'll walk over here. Okay, attached the disc. See how the bigger part of the disc, this piece right here, is facing, touching the hub. See that? Okay, that's how you put it on. Anyway, you put the bolts in finger tight or fairly tight, and once this disc is once the hub is back on, anyway, do that finger tight. A little bit more than finger tight, you know, not torqued to the proper torque. But then anyway, put this thing back on the hub and the disc onto the knuckle, lube it up, and insert those 4 bolts on the back side of the, attach the knuckle to the bearing, and then do 2 on each side, just like I had in the earlier part of the video. Do it like that, and then torque it to the proper torque on this side, and then do the other side, and then check this side again and make sure it's the same. Once that's good, good. And then these 4 bolts in the front holding the hub to the disc, tighten those. Now you can tighten them to the proper torque, and then do that. The book says there's long bolts and short bolts that attach the caliper to the knuckle. It could be an error, I don't know, but they look short to me, so I use around 36 foot-pounds, whatever it says in the book. I don't use the higher amount. Put them in there, put the bolts in on the back side, and then tighten them to that torque. And take some sandpaper to this disc before you make sure it's nothing before you even put it on. What else? And then put this nut on, drive axle nut, and do it pretty tight, but you don't want to tighten it when without the vehicle on the ground, because it could damage the axle or something like that, because the amount of torque is tremendous. So get the vehicle on the ground first, and then torque it to 181 foot-pounds, and then stake it. So you can see right now it's not staked. Once it's got that torque, then stake it. So this is, as far as I can tell from what I see here, this side's pretty much done, except for I don't have the tire on yet, and I don't have it torqued properly, the drive axle nut. I did not have to separate the knuckle from the tie rod, outer tie rod end. Didn't have to do the upper ball joint, and I didn't have to do the lower, though I did check them all, so this side's all good. So everything should be good over here. The brake pads are good still, so they're fairly new. Should be all pretty good. So right now, the bushing, or you want to call it the cover, no, it's just the cover on over the upper ball joint. It's all dry rotted and stuff like that, but the bushing's still, the ball joint's still good, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, I'm going to work on something else. And all right, got the tire back on. 80 foot-pounds for these, 181 foot-pounds for the drive axle nut, and staked it with using this and a hammer. Put it right there, pounded it. Actually, I was able to pound it a little bit with a hammer right at the edge to make it go in some. Tapping it right here, and then I took this screwdriver and just tapped it more, and it should not loosen up. So this is done. This side. Anyway, the other side's the same, so I'm not going to make any more recordings of this. All right, this if I have difficulty with getting the backside bolts in, those four,